This you can throw, otherwise you will be confused. Jugaad. So therefore Krishna, he does not make any arrangement for physical pleasures. He has made some arrangement. He has supplied us food, water, air, but more than that he does not do anything. In fact, it is contrary. Mostly it's troublesome to live in this material world. Either it is too hot, too cold,
It's just India.
and or suddenly you become old, or you have joint ache, back pain, headache, all kinds of things. So this question is very commonly asked, and even religious people have this doubt in their mind that if God is compassionate, then why there is so much misery? So simple answer is that God is not interested in removing your misery. Now you have to figure out whether he is compassionate or not. So the thing is that we have our definition of compassion, and we think that God has to follow our definition. Instead of asking God that what do you mean by compassion? So in his dictionary, compassion is not same as in our dictionary. So in our dictionary, we think that if there is passion, there is compassion. That if we can enjoy, which is passion, and if somebody is making us enjoy, then that is his way being very compassionate. But Krishna is not for that. His compassion is to give us transcendental knowledge. And if you have to suffer materially, then that you take care of that. That he lives for you. So therefore, he says that I come to establish dharma. Dharma sansthapanartha sambhavami yoga yoga. And how do you establish dharma? By giving knowledge. Because dharma is discipline. So you have to give that discipline to people. And if there is dharma, then people can be happy even materially, not otherwise. So he cares, but his ultimate interest is to give transcendental knowledge, and therefore he thought that now if I leave, I should leave somebody behind me who can give transcendental knowledge to people. And for this reason, he thought of Uddhava. So you can imagine the greatness of Uddhava now. That God selected him amongst all the people. He was surrounded by millions of family members. So he chose Uddhava. Asmal lokad uparate mai jnanam madashrayam arhati Uddhava e baddha samprati atmavatambara. It says, when I will leave this world, then it is only Uddhava who is the best among the transcendentalists at present. He says Samprati, at present he is the best, and therefore he should give this knowledge, Mai Jnanam Madashrayam, that knowledge which is under my shelter, then he should continue that parampara. So this is how he chose Uddhava. That he has qualities which will be described by the Lord in the next verse. what was so special about him. So one characteristic he has explained here, Atma Vatam Vara, that best of those who know what is Atma. Atma Vata means the knowers, or those who have realized Atma or Supreme God. He is this best. Because he is with Krishna, he heard from him, and he has also heard from the devotees in Braj and realized who is Krishna. So therefore he can give this knowledge to others. So he is a Jnani and Tattvadarshi. That is the meaning of Atma. So Asmat Prapanchik Lokat Uparate Sveya Rupa Gun Lila Madhurya Vristibhyo Virate Sati. Says, when I will stop showering the sweetness of my form, my qualities, my pastimes on this planet, then ahameva ashrayo yasya tat aham yas jnanam taduddhavopi atma ahameva swamitvena varte yesham tesham atmatam. So he says that knowledge which is under my shelter, and that is also known to Uddhava. Yad janami tad uddhavopi gyatumarhat. Mam didrikshun manmukhat jnanam jigyashun badrik ashram vasino munin mat prati murtitvena jnanam grahitumite bhav. So he says, those people who want to hear from me and they did not meet me or get a chance to hear about me or hear from me, then I am leaving my representative as Uddhava because he is qualified. So then he should go and give this knowledge, especially to the sages who are living in Badrik Ashram. Because these people who are living in Badrik Ashram, they don't come down. So then Krishna is sending Uddhava there. They are just staying in the mountains. But they wanted to know about Krishna. Atma ahameva swamitvena varte yesham tesham atma vatam. So here Atma means Krishna himself. Because Atma means soul, Atma also means the Supreme Person. Atatvat, Matritvat, Atma hi Paramaha. Because Atma is made of two words, At and Ma. So At means who is all pervading, and Ma means who is the source of everybody. So therefore Atma is God. And he says, those who accept me as their Supreme Lord, Swamitvena, among such people, Uddhava is the topmost. Therefore he leaves him behind as his representative. So there is knowledge which is available in the book, the Vedas, you can read that. But that knowledge is only in the book form. And then there is knowledge which is in the heart, as in case of Uddhava about Krishna. So he has knowledge about Krishna in his heart. So when someone speaks that, then it is different than just reading the book. So for that reason, he leaves him behind. Then he tells the reason That what is the special quality of Uddhava? He says, Na Uddhava anu api manyuno yad gunairnarditah prabhu ato madvainam loke grayan hitishthatu. Says that Uddhava is not less than me even by an atom. Anu. Anu means atom. So he says that now Uddhava anu api mat nyuna. Nyuna means less. He is not less than me even by one atom. Forget about 1 gram or 1 inch or whatever measurement. But he says he is just like me. And therefore gunair na ardita. He is not controlled by the gunas. The prakritic gunas, rajas, sattva, tamas, they are not controlling him. And therefore he is Prabhu. Means he has power. Ato madvayunam lokam dhayaniyatishthatu. So therefore to give knowledge about me, he should stay behind. So this is the greatness of Uddhava. That Uddhava, he was so great, as Krishna himself is saying. He was a Kshatriya. And as we read earlier, he was also not just an ordinary Kshatriya, but he was the chief among the Kshatriyas, Mukhya. Yuthapesu Mukhya. And he was related to Krishna. He was his cousin brother. And yet he served Krishna just like a servant. So this is real greatness. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Trinadapi Sunachayana Tarodiva Sahishnuna Amanina Manavina Kirtana Sadahana. But who is qualified to do Kirtan? One who is humble. So humble does not mean stupid. So Uddhava was humble, but he was most intelligent person, knowledgeable, born Kshatriya and cousin brother of Krishna, but not proud, still very humble, and was ready to do anything for Krishna. Krishna was very much trustworthy. When he sent message to the gopis, he chose Uddhava. It's like some boy has a girlfriend and he wants to give some confidential message. Then he will obviously choose somebody who is very close to him. Otherwise, you don't know what the other boy is going to tell the girl. So he sent the message with Uddhava. So that shows that how much he trusted him. So that's why he says that he is not less than me at all, in any sense. He even looked like Krishna. And he used to wear dress which were used by Krishna. Uchchasta bhojino dasa. He was eating remnants of Krishna, and he will wear dress which were worn by Krishna. So when he came to Braj, he was wearing Krishna's dress. So when people, especially gopis, saw him from far, they thought Krishna has come. So it's only when they saw clothes they realized that he is not him. So this is his greatness, and that's why he is able to control his nature or control the gunas, as he is saying, gunair nardita, Prabhu. Prabhu means master, Lord, controller. So here the control on the gunas comes by being humble and surrendered to Krishna. Mameva ye prapadyante maya metam tarante. Those who surrender to me, only they can transcend my maya. Otherwise, Devi hi esha gunamai. Mama Maya Nratya. Even great people, they falter. We hear all the time or read about so many people getting messed up with Maya. So in Bhagavatam, the statement that Maya comes in the form of opposite sex. Of course, mostly they always say Maya comes in the form of women, but they don't know that Bhagavatam says other way around. That verse no one speaks. Here he is saying Balam me pasya maya stri maya jaino disham ya karoti padakrantan bhuvrijambena kevalam. Kapila is talking with his mother and saying that look at my Maya. And here he is not criticizing women, he is saying look at my Maya in the form of women. So even the great heroes who may conquer over the world, the woman kicks them on their head. It's a fact. You can hear the story of Napoleon or Hitler or anybody. They may be anything, but in front of women, they are just like a puppy, wagging tail. So therefore it says, Ya karoti padakrantan bhru vijrambhena kevalam. Just by the movement of the eyebrow, she kicks them on their head. Padakrant. Pada means foot and akrant means jumping on the head. So this is Maya. This has nothing to do with women or men, because he also says later on that Ya manyate pati mohan man maya mir sambhayati stitvam stri sangate prapto vitta. So he says that a woman who thinks that this is my husband, then she does not know that he is the death for her. Same thing is said for both. So it is very difficult unless one really becomes a devotee. Otherwise, it is not possible. So when he says Gunair Nardita and Prabhu, it signifies that he is totally surrendered to Krishna, and therefore he knows Krishna. Because Bhaktya Mama Bhijanati Yavan Yaschasmi Tattvata. Krishna says, I can only be known by devotion, not in any other way. It is impossible to understand him except through bhakti. So bhakti is very difficult to understand. And then to understand Krishna is more difficult. We have been reading the commentary that how it was, even Uddhava said that he was bewildered and he asked only for this thing to Krishna, this, please tell me that I can understand. How do you work? You have no desires, you are working. You are birthless, you take birth. And you are supreme, absolute, you have to marry and have children. So this is very bewildering. So Uddhava was able to understand all this because he is a devotee. So that is Krishna specially mentioning. So he is the most qualified to speak about him, Krishna. Swaprati murtitve Uddhavasya yogyatam aha. Why Uddhava can be a representative of Krishna? Lord Krishna, or actually Sukadeva Goswami, is explaining what Krishna thought of him. Anu api mattah sakasad isad api nanu. Says that Uddhava is not in any sense less than me. Yad yasmat gunahi sattvadibhi, and therefore he is not under the influence of the gunas at all. ननु जगति अस्मिन् गुणातीतः परः सहस्रा जीवन मुक्ता गुणैर अनर्दिता एव सन्ति तेन किं तेषां भगवत साम्यात्. So he says, in this world there are many people, probably when he wrote the commentary at that time, not now, unless they are hiding somewhere. He says that in this world there are many people who are beyond the gunas, who are free from the influence of guna. He says many. Thousands, he says. Parasahasra. And Jivan Mukta. They are liberated people. Of course, we hear many people claiming themselves, but whether they are really what they claim, we don't know. So he says there are many people who are, thousands of them, who are free from the gunas and liberated. So does it mean that they are also equal to Lord? Bhagavad Samyat. Kim tesam Bhagavad Samyat. Because he said that Uddhava is equal to me, and the reason he gives is that he is not influenced by the gunas. So now he is applying it the other way. There is necessary and sufficient condition. So it is not necessary that somebody who is free from the gunas can also be equal to Lord, because it may not be sufficient. Maybe one of the reasonings, but not sufficient reason. It is a necessary condition, but not a sufficient condition. So it cannot just apply it conversely. So when he says, therefore I will give another explanation of this, not being influenced by guna, because this way you can give logic that there are many people who are free from the gunas, and therefore they are also equal to Krishna, therefore they also know him, therefore they can also speak. He says, okay, keep quiet and listen. Says gunair aprakritayir bal buddhi jnana vairagyadibhir nardita. So he says here guna does not mean the material modes or gunas of nature, sattva, rajas, tamas. But guna here means the qualities of Krishna, because this word guna means the three guna of Prakriti, and guna also means qualities. So gunair nardita means not trampled by the guna. It seems direct meaning is that he is not influenced by the gunas of Prakriti. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that guna here means qualities of Krishna. And he has qualities like he has strength, he has beauty, or knowledge, intelligence, renunciation. All these qualities of Krishna, they are not able to, what do you call, ardita means suppress or influence Uddhava. Means he does not cow down under the weight of these qualities. Like if you get some heavy weight on your head, then your back may bend and you may collapse. Or if there is a heavy influence of some desire in your mind, you got a desire to eat ice cream, then you may be sitting here, but your mind is going to ice cream, and you're thinking when the class will be over and I go to Amity to buy the ice cream. So that means you are not able to hold the power of this desire. The desire has overpowered you, you became influenced, and you have collapsed. So similarly, Krishna's qualities are like that they will overpower you and you will collapse. So it says that Uddhava has the ability to uphold the influence of my qualities. Means he can see my knowledge, he can appreciate and not just fall down in ecstasy and still continue to hear. So sometimes some woman sees a man who is very handsome and she faints. I don't know, I have not seen anything like this, but we read this in Sahitya, right? In Sanskrit Sahitya, it is described like that. Literature, the literary explanation that or some man sees the beauty of a woman and he just faints. So why he faints? Because he is not able to uphold the influence of this beauty. Like you may have heard that sometimes some people get good news, they get a lottery, and suddenly when they hear that they got a big lottery, and they become so happy that they get a heart attack. You know this? And this is true. This has happened. So that joke, that there was one poor postman living in the village. And in India, postmen go on the bike distributing their post, and they get few hundred rupees salary. So once this guy bought one lottery ticket and gave to his wife, and wife was keeping it. Many poor people buy lottery ticket, hoping that one day they will get. This is how lottery actually runs, because rich people don't buy lottery. Some poor people. So one day when the wife was cooking, then she heard on the radio, they were giving the news who have won the lottery, and they announced it on the radio, and they gave the number, and she tallied, and she realized the number is same, and it was like 5 crore rupees lottery, which means 50 million rupees. So when the wife thought, she was very happy, but she thought that if my husband will hear this, there is a chance that he can have a heart attack, because poor fellow has not even seen 1,000 rupee in his life. And now suddenly if he hears he got so much, so she made a plan that we should break this news to him slowly when he comes home. Because if you just give the whole thing, then he will not be able to uphold the shock of happiness. So she called the local pujari from the temple, Ganesh temple, and said that, can you please come this evening, and I want you to meet my husband, and when he comes, talk to him, and then slowly tell him that he has got this lottery, but don't tell the full amount, you increase it. So pujari had not much to do anyway in the village temple, who is coming. So he was happy somebody is invited. At least he'll get a cup of tea to drink in the cold weather. So he came. The husband was supposed to come by 5:30, 6 o'clock, and he already came at 4 o'clock, having his tea and biscuit. So when the postman came, he saw this pujari. He says, "Oh, how nice!" And he was very happy, and he says, "Please, I'm so fortunate to see you in my house. Sit down, have a tea." He says, "No problem. I just thought of meeting you." So he said, "Okay." Then they sat down and he started talking, "How are you?" and this and that. And then he said, "Do you know that you had bought lottery ticket?" And the postman said, "Yeah." you know that you actually got a prize. And he says, really? So he asked, how much did I get? He said, you got 1 lakh rupee. This is like 1/10 of a million, instead of saying 50 million. So the postman was very happy. He said, oh really, I am so happy I got 1 lakh. And if that is true, I give you 25,000 from the temple. And when this pujari heard it, he collapsed. When that poor fellow never saw 100 rupees in his life. People come to the temple, they throw 5 paisa. You have seen in Indian temples, they're throwing 5 paisa like this. So this is the meaning when he says that Vairagyadibhir na ardita. Because somebody hears about Krishna's beauty, not only hears, sees, he can actually faint and collapse.
Maybe he also die.
Yeah, he can die.
There's no death.
No.
So tesham veg dharanam samarthyam eva tair anarditatvam. So to hold the knowledge or the experience of Krishna's beauty, it is said that when Muhammad, he first had darshan of Allah, then he fell sick, that he was having fever for 2 weeks, because Allah was so beautiful. Because they don't believe in the form of God, but actually he said that he was so beautiful that he was just wonderstruck. Who is this so beautiful? He came home and he lied down and he was having fever. So this is the meaning, not able to hold the shock of even beauty or happiness or knowledge. So somebody suddenly realizes in transcendental knowledge, he can become so happy that he can faint. So Uddhava was not such a person. So like if you have a small pot, you put it on the stove, the water starts jumping in 1 minute, right? And then it's overflowing. You have a big pot, you keep it there for half an hour, nothing happens. This is the meaning of holding the energy in you. So Uddhava was like that big pot, big patra that he could hold, and therefore he could stay back and give this knowledge. Yatha kamadi veg dharanam samarthyam eva kamadi anarditatvam uchyate. And he gives an example. He says, when we say that somebody is not trampled by lust, means that he is able to sustain the lust. The lusty thought comes, he does not become overpowered by it. So that is the meaning, that not being trampled by it. And then there are people that come and they do crazy things. They commit, some criminal acts, rape somebody. So why? Because the power is so great and they are so weak that they lose control. And the emotion takes over. And you just do what is the emotion is asking to do. So therefore it is not a very good thing to become influenced by emotions like this. Emotions are good, but one should be able to bear them. So anardita means to bear the emotion, whether it is of happiness or of distress or of anger or of lust. Otherwise the person becomes deviated. If he now walks away from here and then he becomes overpowered by the feeling of separation, and he's not going to do what he's asked to do. So he did feel separation, but he did his duty. So this is the meaning of not becoming influenced. So everybody feels emotions. Anybody who has heart will feel emotion unless the person is dead. Then there is no motion, no emotion. So, but how much the mind becomes influenced by it and the intelligence is taken over, that depends on the strength of one's personality. So this is the meaning which Vishwanath Chakravarti has given, very nice meaning, that he was not influenced by this guna. He is not talking about the material guna. Otherwise, there are so many sages, all these sages living in the Badrik ashram, they are also free from the gunas of Prakriti. There are people, they hear a little bit about Krishna, they start crying. There is a whole sampradaya where they practice it. That you hear kirtan, then you start crying. So they are even practicing how to be influenced. Uddhavo hi adhiratha yuthapa yuthapesu mukhya iti uchyate. Says therefore Uddhava was called the chief among the hosts of adhirathas. Adhiratha means those who are very great fighters on the chariot. They can fight with any amount of people. So he was the chief. There were others like Pradyumna, Samba, they were also adhiratha. But Uddhava is considered as supreme among them because of this quality. Tadapi na kwapi tadrishasya aprakritasya balasya avishkari. So he says that even if you are a great hero fighter, that does not mean that you have strength to uphold the emotions. There are people who can fight on the chariot and they can do wrestling and this, and then some abnormal situation comes, they are depressed. So that means they are really not strong. They are like animals. They have only physical strength. So real strength is the strength of controlling mind, controlling the emotions. That is the real strength. Only such people can do some great work. Otherwise you are always swayed away by the emotions, like the leaf of the peepal tree in the air. It's always moving. You see them, they are never stable. And very little wind is moving it this way, moving it that way. Or in Europe on the highways they put these things. Or I don't know, for knowing which way the wind is blowing. So they're always up in the air, moving with the wind. So our mind should not be like that, hanging in the air. Iti balveg dharanam eva buddhyadinam api veg dharanam gayam etadeva asadharanyam prabhu. So he says that this should be considered as the extraordinary power, that one is able to hold the pushes. So vacho vegam mansa krodha vegam jibha vegam udro upastha vegam etan vegan yo vishaheta dhira sa sarvamapi prithvyam sasyam kuriyat. So one who can control vega means the push of the speech, and mind, vacho vegam, mansa, krodha vegam, anger, and the tongue, and the belly, and the genitals. So such a person can control others, can control anyone, because he has controlled himself or herself. So only those who can control themselves can control others. And those who cannot control themselves cannot control anybody, because this other control is brutal, it is animalistic, and as soon as the other person will get a chance, he or she will revolt. So he is saying that one who can hold this power of this vega, these pushes of mind, intelligence, then that is extraordinary power. So he says that's why he is called Prabhu. Prabhu means master, controller. So Krishna is saying, he says, therefore he has controlled me also. So Krishna, when he is calling him as Prabhu, he is indicating that even he is controlled by him. So means one can even control the supreme controller if one can have this type of control over oneself. And this is possible only in bhakti. It is not, otherwise it is not possible. So indirectly he is explaining that Uddhava is a great devotee. Therefore when you read Laghu Bhagavatamritam or Brihad Bhagavatamritam, then it is described that how in Dwarka Uddhava is the topmost devotee. Outside words, he is supreme, because Krishna himself is explaining it. And Madhvayunam Majjnanam. So he says he is the one who can transfer knowledge about me to others. Because to give knowledge is not an ordinary task. Especially if knowledge about Krishna has to be given, then one has to be free from pride, and ego, and selfish nature that one should not have. Otherwise, one will make a business out of it. Because knowledge is power, and if one has knowledge, then one will exercise that power to control others or for one's own glorification. And then instead of giving knowledge about Krishna, he will be giving knowledge about himself. So for that reason it is very important to have this quality. So here the quality of Uddhava is also implying indirectly the quality of a teacher. Because after all, a teacher is also a spiritual teacher or spiritual master or guru, whatever you call, has the duty, is considered as a representative of Krishna. Acharya mam vijaniyat navamannihita karichit. Krishna says that Acharya is me, that one should know Acharya as Krishna himself. So means he is a representative of Krishna. And what is his duty? His duty is to give knowledge about Krishna. Same thing which Uddhava is giving. So this is one way of explaining. One way is you explain directly what is the quality of a guru. Tasmad gurum prapadyeta jigyasu shreyattam shrabde parecha nishnatam brahmani samashraya. So directly the quality of guru is given, that he should be nishnat, expert in shastra and realized and practicing. And this is indirect way of explaining that why Uddhava has to go to Badrikashram and speak even to great sages means he is their teacher, he is their guru. Vidura wanted to accept him also as guru. So he says, no, I won't accept you, you should go to Maitreya also. So this is explaining the qualification of the teacher. And I'll stop here.
What means Bhagavatam?
Bhagavad Gita is the 11th canto where Krishna is speaking to Uddhava, answering his questions. Part of
Srimad.
Bhagavatam.
The Pandavas were also present at the time that Uddhava was there and that Krishna chose him as his representative. So I've been thinking, why didn't Krishna consider Yudhisthira or Arjuna for this post?
Because he is more qualified.
Yeah. And it
He is
mentions-
trained by him.
He was trained by him. Yeah, because the Pandavas are also described as being very close to Krishna, very strong devotees of Krishna. They have
But he
other
is superior to
qualities.
them.
He's superior to them.
That's why Pandavas are in Hastinapura and Uddhava is in Dwarka with Krishna.
You said that there is a difference between the knowledge in the Shastra, in the book, and the knowledge spoken from the heart. So I want to know what is the difference.
Because book is, it's written there. When somebody is having the knowledge in heart means he has realized, understood. Because anybody can read the book does not mean you understand. But for somebody like Uddhava, knowledge is not bookish knowledge. He has realized. It is Vijnana. Jnana Vijnana Sahitam. Yes, Gyatva. Moksha Shubhat. So it's not just theoretical knowledge. But what is in book is theoretical. Just a word.
So this characteristic is very necessary in the transmission of the...
Hmm?
It's very necessary that the knowledge should be realized.
Yes.
About another thing that the soul has never contact with the body, with the material mind. And sometimes this compassion, there is a view on the compassion who is different.
Hmm?
Overviewing the compassion, many people have different view on what the compassion is. And this compassion, let's say, okay, we have a spiritual teacher and he doesn't care at all about the needs of the physical needs or emotion or whatever the disciple had. So there is a tendency to not to be able to accept this type of relation, this way of relate. Actually, it's the opposite. The tendency is to think, oh, there is no relation, there is no care, there is no compassion in the end. Because since that a person who is realized and who knows that there is no contact between body and soul, really doesn't care about that. I mean, the emotional needs.
So what is the question?
So the question is that this is proper or what is the
Again, proper and improper from whose point of view?
from the disciple?
From his point of view, it is proper, and one who does not understand, that's...
So it's a lack of understanding then from the side of the disciple. So means because we are talking about holding, so means that the disciple cannot hold the knowledge of the potency of the Guru in that case.
Hold or not understand?
Not understand.
He does not understand. Holding is when you understand, but you are
Not a problem.
just too much for him. It's like you have a pot which has capacity of 100 milliliter and you pour 1 liter. Just overflowing. The pot is also drowned in it. And you have to search for the pot.
So then how can we expand our container so we can hold better, more?
Then by sadhana.
And talking about this topic, you finished on the point of controlling the mind, the senses, the tongue. How do you see that in the perspective of following the process of bhakti?
How do I see?
How do we see that in following the process of bhakti, this element of control?
Well, in bhakti it is more natural. Because when you engage in devotional service, then your senses are controlled naturally. Otherwise you cannot execute devotional service. So we don't make a separate endeavor to control senses. Our way of controlling senses is to engage in devotional service.
About Uddhava, who went to give the message to the gopis sent by Krishna. So, and then he said that from far the gopi thought, oh, this is Krishna. But then they realized that it was somebody else. So, and we heard also that Uddhava was really wearing the dress of Krishna and his form, a color, and whatever, was like Krishna. So what they see, the gopi, how they could discriminate and recommend that this was Uddhava and not Krishna.
Well, at least they realize he is not Krishna. Then they can ask, who are you?
Yeah.
We have these puppies, all these black ones look the same. If you see closely, then you know that this is different.
Because they start to talk. And they asked to him, who are you?
I mean, if you see and you go close, you know that he is not Krishna. You cannot figure that out. He is not Krishna.
Yeah, maybe.
What do you mean, maybe? If you know some person and then you see another one who looks like him, you go close to him and you cannot figure out that he is not the person I was thinking.
If he is not really like Krishna, yes. But we say we have heard that he was looking like Krishna, eating his food, wearing his clothes.
But he is obviously looking like he is not Krishna, so there must be some difference or not.
Yeah, must be.
Yeah. Even if the twins are there, they look exactly the same, but those who are seeing them every day, they know that who is who. A new person may think that I don't know which one is which.
But Uddhava was similarly like Krishna.
Those people who tend sheep, we always wonder how they know
They know.
difference from one to another, but actually if you are with them, then every sheep is actually different. They have different structure. To outsiders, all Chinese look same.
Bhakti is a dangerous thing. It's a dangerous thing, bhakti.
Very dangerous. Totally capture you.
Think before you get into it.